to say, and I'm like, it's like a thing, man. You don't get it, you know. It's like this song. I had to find this live so it wouldn't get the algorithms.
It sounds like the music. It sounds like the music they would have on the Love Boat. You know, the Love Boat, that show.
Yeah.
Love Boat.
Definitely Love Boat.
And yeah, for sure.
Billy Zig, The Elusive Curve, the book on Amazon.
Are we live
Get it.
now?
What's that?
Nice, man. How you doing?
Good. I just made up this weird concoction. It's
That looked good. What is it?
It's tequila and like a tequila, like, you know, little bitch mix, you know, like a sugar thing. And then it's 2 bananas, some cranberry juice, some pineapple juice, some water, ice. And that's why it's got this big frothy thing going on there. Yeah.
That looks mean.
A serious head.
It's almost unfair that I'm not drinking. It's not fair that I'm not drinking with you. You know?
Oh, I figured you would be drinking, so that's why. It's like, let me go ahead and get a drink on here.
It's a bit early in the day right now. It's
yeah, you're early, right?
It's 10:44 in the morning. 10. Yeah. So how about you? It'd be
you have to wait. You have to wait to drink.
There's no rules behind the thing. No firm rules anyway. And we're in lockdown, so we can do whatever we want.
Typically, you should drink after 12 to avoid the alcoholic, name.
That is true. That is true. So I haven't got long to go. You know.
All right. Well,
and we just
sorry. Go ahead.
It was we just went through daylight savings, so technically, you know, which has happened last week. It's almost 12 now. I should just crack a beer. Fuck it. No. Anyway.
I mean, there's a state. I think Montana, in the United States, is just like, yeah, we're not fucking doing that. We're just gonna keep the time the same, and everyone else can go fuck themselves.
We do as well. Yeah, we do as well. We've got Queensland here that just doesn't
participate.
Time zone.
How does FedEx and everybody reconcile that shit that are all based on time?
It's just ridiculous, isn't it?
I don't know. That's a lot of shit to think about. I was asking somebody, my friend Patty, last night, what kind of person wants to run people, like run the world? And she's all like, well, no, she's in management. And she did give a pretty good answer. She's like, dude, I know how to run shit. And I know what I'm doing. And I know how to run shit better than you do. I was like, that's pretty good. All right.
I get that. But what are your motives, right? And if you
right. Her motive is excellence.
Good. That's good.
Know? Yeah. I couldn't say anything to that, you know.
Bill Gates, would you say Bill Gates's motive is excellence right now, or would you say it's more, you know, this agenda?
You know, if the internet didn't exist and you couldn't look into shit, I mean, he looks pretty dastardly right now to me. I mean, I don't want to look, we can talk about these and I want to go over them, like some of the Tartaria and, you know, 5G is, you know, cooking your balls and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, like, Bill Gates is like, I looked up one of the things he said is something where 6.8 billion people were approaching 9 billion, and we'd like to get that down like 10 or 15%. And then I go and I looked that up because, you know, Snopes is all like, that's not what they meant. And I was like, well, what did they mean? And Snopes comes back and says, well, what Bill was basically trying to say is that if you keep these people that are already alive healthy, then through vaccines, they will not require making new people because those people won't die. And I was like, yeah, it's a stretch, Snopes. Like, first of all, you guys are retarded. Every goddamn time somebody gives me a Snopes link, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like, what, they have like a staff of 15 that started with a husband and wife, and they're all just full of shit. They never, ever, 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 ever go, well, all right, you got it there.
Exactly. You know, what about, why are they doing that? Yeah, come on, you know. And I've seen it, and he literally says, he didn't say, I've seen some people claim that it was 90%. He wants to wipe out 90% of the population. He didn't say that. And you're right, he did say, look, it's concerning when this guy owns the vaccine companies. He's got interest in that vaccine company. So it's like me saying, it'd be great if, you know, all our wheelie bins were, you know, changed to this style, and all of a sudden I own a company for the wheelie bin, you know, manufacturers, the distribution of it, and you know, you go, oh, that's why you said that, and it's a problem. That's where I see there's a problem. And who is Bill Gates anyway? Is he a doctor? No.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. I said, generally, people hire smarter people to do their job, and they fund it. So why is he taking this special interest in becoming like, you know, Joe Scientist when I understand that, you know, he's probably pretty, you know, intelligent, but why would you make that leap? Like, you know, how old is Bill Gates? He's in his 60s, right?
In his 60s, yeah.
Okay, like what is there left to do, guy? I mean, you're fucking already made all the money. You know, you gave away enough of money to other people so they can go, well, that guy's not a bastard through his foundations. But I mean, what is his main concern? Because it's not like the CDC is writing memos and sending them to Bill Gates back in the day and going, you know, help us 50 billion person, you know, help. What can we do without you? He's sort of taken on that. Like, and it's like he's championing, and he's a classic gamma. Why would he want to champion anything? They don't lead anything. They just take, you know?
Exactly. So why would he be so concerned with us all of a sudden? As if, you know, didn't he say a couple of years ago that even, you know, spraying the sky to block out the sun, and he's got all these crazy ideas that, you know, a mad scientist would have, basically, you know, let's do this, let's spray the sky. Well, you haven't tested it. Have you tested it?
I saw Camila, I can't say her name right. She put the meme up today, and I had already seen it. I'd already seen him actually speak these words at a symposium. And I was all like, okay, well, how is he going to spin that? Because I listened to it. I didn't listen to a soundbite of it. I actually listened to, like, I don't know, 20 minutes of it. And I didn't get, like, and everybody in the crowd, like, everyone kind of laughed, like, uncomfortably when he said that. And it wasn't a thing where anyone said, well, what? Wait a minute, hold on, back up. What were you trying to say there? Nothing. And he just sort of, and it doesn't matter, because as somebody once said that I thought was pretty wise, I've got the microphone. You don't have the microphone. You know, it's television at that point. You know what I mean? Like, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. What are you guys going to do? You're in the audience. Someone's person going to stand up and go, this will not stand. This aggression will not stand in Kuwait.
And the people have paid to go there and listen to him, haven't they? So they're not going to, you know, they've been invited. You're not going to get invited again if someone did invite you, even if it was free. You're not going to get invited again for opposing his views.
There's a picture of
in agreement with what he's saying. Oh, what did you say, Bill? Yes, Bill. He's rich. He knows better than me. You know, that's it. And if you look in the background, you know, we didn't know. We got told Bill Gates started Microsoft from, you know, his garage. That's the theme that we went with for years. Now we find out that his dad was a multi-millionaire. You know, the Gates family's been around for a long time.
Okay. I didn't know. Where'd you get that?
Neither did I. And apparently they trace back his lineage. You can go back to the Rockefellers, right?
Oh,
you know, yeah, it's freaky. It's freaky.
I gotta see that stuff, man, because that gets on like the thing, like, you know, Obama's under the same. He's connected to the Queen or something. I'm like, I mean, maybe, but I mean, you really have to get supernatural.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, they all are. And there was a girl who did I remember seeing an article maybe 10 years ago, and she is a 12-year-old girl for her.
Who is it?
There was a 12-year-old girl many years ago for a history assignment. She was a 12-year-old girl. She worked out the lineage of all the current presidents, and they all linked back to their old cousins and related. I think there was only 2 presidents that weren't related. You can find the article. It's online.
That starts getting into kind of creepy, you know.
Exactly. So you wonder what type of accident, you know, all presidents bar one are directly descended from medieval times. Ridiculous.
Okay. But let's just go back to the Yates thing really quick, because maybe he is related to, you know, the Rockefellers or whatever. But he's not the dude. He didn't go to school for any of this shit. I mean, it's like you just go, okay, I got a fucking $100 billion to invest in something. Let me find some really fucking smart people. I'll interview them and I'll make sure we're all on the same page and everything, which is all in and of itself is kind of a little cult of personality, because they're being paid by you, Bill, to do your bidding. So I think that it's very peculiar, especially someone who's, I mean, dude, listen, I'm 46. I'm ready to retire now. So what the fuck? Why would I want to be 70 and knocking on 70's door and still in charge of all the important shit because nobody gets it? I'm sure a bunch of people get it. It's why the CDC sort of is a CDC. You know, my dad retired from the CDC. That doesn't mean I know shit. Doesn't mean I can go, run on that platform. Well, my family's from the CDC. Well, what did your father do? Well, he's an attorney. Well, he wasn't acting as an attorney in the CDC. He was doing something else, you know, where they just say, oh, you were an attorney. I guess you can do this over here. So Bill Gates is suspect.
And you're right. And you're right. And you're exactly right. Because if you lay that across, even if you extrapolate that across other experts in the field, like Elon Musk, right? Just because he founded PayPal, he jumped to this, jumped to that, and now he wants to do this neural link to link our brains with his computer. What expertise do you have in that? Sure, you can hire all the best people, but what interests do you have? Why would you even want to do that? What
it's all I don't know. I mean, when you start getting into because I remember that movie with Christopher Walken back in the 80s. It had like a Neuralink type of thing. This is what's funny about it. It's like 1982 movie has this exact scenario where people would wear these little things around their heads and they would go and experience shit. And it would be like an HD TV mind from a first person point of view. But it wasn't just visual because we already can do that. It was the experiences and the emotions, the sounds, the smells. So when you put this thing on, and I want to say, I keep going to War Games. That's totally not the fucking name. It's the Christopher Walken, and
he's one of my favorites.
I'll look it up later. But the point being is that Natalie Woods was in it before they killed her or whatever in a boat. Sorry. And they had this guy. I remember this one scene because it was on HBO, so it had nudity in it or something. So you're like, oh, let's tune into this shit. And you put this thing, and some dude had been banging this girl on this video thing, and he had it on. He was reliving this dude's experience, but he was also on some weird repeat where he couldn't get out of this loop. And
who even thinks about this stuff? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like,
I'm saying we already have the visual things, so the next thing would be the feelings and the experience, up and up and all that jazz.
Yeah, and even if there was that other movie, Sylvester Stallone and Sandra Bullock, the futurist one where they ran out didn't have toilet paper. What's that called? But you probably know the one I'm talking about. But even with them, they didn't have any physical touch. It was all about, when they're communicating and having this sensory feeling through some device. And I don't even know why. Like,
I'm gonna look the movie up. Keep talking. Okay.
Yeah, what's the benefit of that? Like, I believe in a creator, and the creator made us pretty well perfect, even when it comes to everything about us, man, from our skin. You're a baby, you're young, your cellular system is, different. You're to when you get older, and that happens for a purpose. It's showing you're getting older, that you are reaching the end of the toilet roll, if you like.
Oh. Here's the name of the movie. Ready? I knew it was something like this. Brainstorm, 1983, American sci-fi fiction film directed by Douglas Trumbull, and it's with Natalie Wood in her final film role. Louis Fletcher and Cliff Robertson. So I'm gonna go back and watch that movie because it's definitely got the nod to the future. Like in 1983, so I was in third grade. And this thing, they had this, it was on a loop. So the thing is that people, and we've seen movies since this. I think there was the one with Angela Bassett and somebody else in the 1990s where people were recording these memories, and it was like an underground thing. Like you got to have the experience of some, guy jumping out of a plane with no parachute where someone throws it to him or something, some crazy shit that nobody's done yet. But Neuralink, yeah. But have you ever seen pictures of Elon Musk when he was with PayPal supposedly, and he's all like balding and got some weird hair transplant thing going on, and now he's Iron Man smoking weed with Rogan.
And I often wonder whether, you know, as you pointed out just then with Iron Man, you know, whether they did this connection in Hollywood that there would be this heroic guy, and you know, people almost expect Elon Musk to, you know, step on stage with an Iron Man suit these days, don't they?
Well, he says weird shit, and he doesn't seem like he's really on board with things. He just kind of says some stuff, and he doesn't even sound like he believes it, which is strange to me. And then, you know, he is correct in what he said on Rogan, which was like probably the last time I ever watched Joe Rogan to begin with. But it was that we're already cyborgs because of our cell phone.
Yeah, and we're all connected.
Yeah. You're willingly doing that. It's not a thing of like, oh, I got to take the mark of the beast, because that's the first thing I heard about when people started talking about 5G and having to get the fucking virus in a vaccine, and if you don't, you won't be able to use your fucking money. And I'm like, oh goddamn, what can I fucking diversify and do right now? Not gold. That's bullshit. The price and all that. I was like, I don't know, maybe buy a couple of extra cars and a big truck worth of gasoline or something. But then at the same time, I start thinking about people like Americans are like, you're going to fucking stick me with a needle? Go fuck yourself. That's America.
Most Australians are like that too, man. Most people here are going to resist the friggin' needle. Like, then again, there's going to be the sheep that are going to come forward and go, hey, we want that needle.
Yeah. I don't know what percentage that is.
What happens?
I have no idea what percentage that is, because now we're at a point where it's becoming mainstream to be conspiratorial about this COVID-19 thing. That's way more in the column of people going, wait a minute, like real, like professionals, it's from every walk of life are just kind of like, yeah. I know people on the front lines at hospitals that are saying it's not crazy busy. We're not overrun. And then I talked to my friend last night, and she's like, I got a friend that's in infectious disease, and they said totally real. So I sent that guy, Australian guy, Liability Mate. You know what I'm talking about? Bald head, big brown beard.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So I mirrored that. I put it on the Podbean channel. So in case because I heard it got banned. I didn't go check it out, but I went ahead and made a copy anyway. And then I put it through this show to get it to MP4 because my computer's an asshole. It doesn't like MOV files from Final Cut Pro. Whatever. Oh. Yeah, so and then I put it on the Podbean network. So if anybody wants to see that video that supposedly ended up being banned on his channel, which is explaining how viruses work and how they're dead and shit, and they don't jump to you from somebody's fucking napkin when you're at the grocery store. So now I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and back that up, and then we'll go into I'll just post. And then I actually got a video from David Icke, which I also always kind of reluctant with him because if you mention lizard people to me at some point, I'm kind of like, but I put his video on YouTube, which is just called Debunk This Volume 2. Every time I just find a video, just put it on there, and YouTube just snapped it up with their algorithms. They can see algorithms of video that doesn't have sound on it.
Absolutely, yeah.
I didn't know that shit. I was like, I thought it was sound based.
They're reading everything. Like they've digitized. It's all digital, so they can read any aspect of it. That's why a lot of people, when they're talking about any virus or whatever, they're not even saying the word virus. They're not even saying 5G. They're using a code word for that, so they can bypass the algorithm. Which is your whole.
Yeah, you have to use colloquial language now because.
Parents, isn't it? It's like hiding it from your parents with your brothers and sisters, and you use a code word so they wouldn't know what you're talking about. Like, are we really? Who's our parents in this case? The government. The government telling us what to freaking do and where to go. And
okay. So you remember quantum physics as it pertains to or quantum computing? Have you looked into that at all?
Of course, yeah. I was chatting with someone about that this morning, and he was saying it's BS, whatever.
I'm not gonna jump on there's a fucking robot that's part of a country now that has their own fucking passport and shit and talks about like ending us just in jest when they ask them like a very ominous, basic, open question. But I just don't think they have that tech, but if they do, they're just gonna splooge it on us. They're just gonna be like, oh, by the way, we have the way to fucking just tell you how much change you have in your pocket right now.
But if you think about it, sorry to interrupt, what you said before, they already do have it. See, if they can scan a video and look at the contents without a human intervention, that's a computer doing that, right? So that's
quantum computing is saying that the processing speed to be able to run that fast and have that much power, you have to put it in a ridiculously cold freezing environment to slow down the ability for the heat, which keeps it from, I guess, from the RPMs from getting as fast as it can totally be. My friend Kat is watching this, and she was in IT for the Air Force.
You reckon they can't do that? Or?
Well, the point being is that if you get the speed up processing wise, that if it has no problems with anything environmental, then it should technically be able to get at speeds that weren't even comprehensible to humans, which means that if you gave them information, for instance, like the fusion centers, like, oh, Alexa's listening to my every fucking conversation. Oh, all right. What she can do with that information? I mean, we're fucking trying to figure out how to fucking fry salmon downstairs. Not a big fucking thing. Like, you want to listen to that? Go for it. But the amount of data that would come through and be able to have algorithms to decide, yeah, that's interesting. No, that's not. Let's put that to the side, kind of thing. Like that.
It's mind blowing, isn't it?
Right. So that's coming. And then if 5G, I don't think the 5G, it doesn't make sense to me that the grabblers would make 5G something that's necessarily deadly. I don't think it would be helpful to your environment. If you have the ability to turn your Wi-Fi off at night or not turn your Wi-Fi off at night, one is better than the other. Right? Do you think that 5G is an actual threat, or you think it's just a psyop to get you off, from Antarctica? So this episode is called
that's a good
episode 17. What's the hoopla about Antarctica? And Bill Gates is the usual suspect. How's that?
Good question. Flattening the curve. Now all of a sudden we're not even talking about flat Earth or any other topics. That we're awakening people to a new level. The thing is about flat Earth, when you get into that, are you still there, mate? Or I don't know if you've dropped off. But as I was saying, the thing, did you drop off for a sec? Or?
I'm back.
Yeah. The thing I was saying, with flat Earth, it's a different type of conspiracy theory. Like, this is a very dark conspiracy theory. Is 5G bad? Coronavirus. Flat Earth is an awakening because you look at so many different topics. You're looking at science. You're looking at this creator topic. It's a beautiful topic. This is dark. Like, what can we prove about 5G? All we can do is just wait till the towers are rolled out. And some people are saying that this coronavirus is like, at the moment, they're setting it up. And what about if they do switch on 5G? And that's what's really going to hurt and damage.
You and I and a million people know the same information, and we say we're going to believe that.
Yeah.
What changes? And you know what I mean? So I mean, like, why even get into some elaborate, sophisticated routine of figuring out how to, when you're just like, dude, we're doing it anyway. What are you going to do about it? You're not going to do anything. I mean, people can go and get, drones and try to blow up fucking 5G towers or whatever. But I mean, you can only do that so many times before the military gets involved or whatever the fucking deal is. So it's not like you can keep, there's a certain point where you can annoy, your roommate that won't move out because they've got a fucking squatting rights or something like that. So they're going to just sit there and make your life miserable. But you're like, yeah, I can call the cops every day and say you're making a risk to my, my personal safety. So I'd like you to have them removed for the night. You can do things, and that's where you get into like rebellions and insurgents. It's like you can go to a country where we never invited you to, we were never invited to come into that for whatever reason. This is a point of contention. This is where we're going to do our thing. And these people were coming to their country and they're like, fuck you. We don't want you here. A la fucking Red Dawn, from the American cinema. And we're insurgents. So we're to dig ourselves in. We're not going to let you do shit. We'll let you, there'll be wins and losses, but it won't be just coming in and totally just decimating. That's what I think about this.
It's about lawful rebellion, isn't it? Lawful rebellion means that you do it lawfully. We can't go out in the streets and burn towers down and smash shops up. And that's the reaction they want. Actually, we can't do that. It's got to be done in a manner that is lawful.
But do they have the resources, Billy? I mean, in this country, 350 million people documented as citizens.
Yeah.
800,000 people in law enforcement. I don't know. Let's just take a guess and say there's 5 million people in active military, which there aren't. But if let's say that we said that, you cannot quell that type of number in any way, shape, or form unless I think you said you put like a kill on site, or something like that. And people are like, oh, it's not, which could be believable with the amount of hysteria that's caused by the corona and the lack of
everyone's
the. So I'm sorry.
Everyone's. Oh, I'm sorry for interrupting. You're right, because everyone's the enemy now from a social point of view. Like if they see you walking down the street, well, you're an enemy already. They're dobbing you in, aren't they? So that's the way people are seeing it. You know what I mean?
Human nature, according to my friend Chris, is that when you do have someone that's approaching you and you don't know you have no information, that the core of you is in the flight or fight response of I need to protect myself in case this person is a marauder or a fucking jewel thief or a bandit or a raccoon or whatever. But that's just that's neither here nor there. The American policy is to back up everything we do with our economy and with our martial presence.
Yeah, you've made me think. You know how you said before, you got 800,000 in law enforcement. You then got the military, but then you got these do-gooders. How many of them would you have? 20, 30% of the population would back whatever the government is doing, aren't they? They're going to go with them. So now they've got that army. So what would be the split, you'd say, if there was a big war, a 50-50? There's going to be people that defend the government just because they're goody two-shoes and they think they're going to get some prize at the end of the day,
Yeah, I don't know.
Australia is very much like that. So I should.
So Australia, are they paying any general living expenses vis-a-vis the government to you, John Q. Pack, the taxpayer?
I'm not getting it. I run a small business. So for me to go through the loopholes of presenting all my financials and, bending over backwards, I'm not going to get anything. But yeah, they're handing out money. They've now, people in Australia that were on social security benefits, or the dole we call it here, they've doubled their income. Straight away, they went from $275 a week to $550 a week.
What's the population of Australia?
23 million, 24 million we're bordering now, around about that.
It's a hard thing to compare because the places that are doing really super magnanimous, do right by you constituent / population are doing things that are possible based on, the whatever surplus or the budgets they have. We're like 300 trillion in the 1 trillion in the red.
They're in so much debt as well, man. They're borrowing this money. I don't even know where they're getting it from. The international monetary fund are paying out millions.
$600 trillion. That's the stimulus package. And like if you do the math of $1,200 per man, woman that are working, I don't know how they end up coming up with that, but it isn't much. It doesn't come up to 6 trillion. The people that are making out like bandits are going to be the people that are in the stock market, in the market that are connected to anything to do with derivatives or futures or anything that has. Well, you can bet on anything in the stock market. It stays right there. The next 48 hours, that stock is not going to move. If that is right, then I get X amount of whatever. I don't get it. It's a bunch of gorilla math to me, but it means somebody that makes money from that transaction, and then you end up having the banks like the Federal Reserve that ends up charging interest on 6 trillion just to begin with. How much is I don't understand. Like if you get to the point where money is not really a thing anymore because it's so much, like what do you care if you make another fucking $100 trillion? Who gives a shit? What doesn't cost anything anymore, right? I mean, you have $100 million. Do you know the difference between you having $100 million, you having $50 million? Is there a difference?
It wouldn't be.
See how there would be.
It's incomprehensible to most people, that once you get past a certain amount of money, you just don't know what to do with it. What are you going to do with it? You're sitting on the money. At that point, you start getting into a lot of what they used to do was inheritance, wasn't it? You'd make a certain amount of money, and you had that money, and you inherited onto your family, and it was enough for them to live on, and even 4 or 5 generations. These guys want so much money that it's an ego trip. I don't know what it is. It's to the point of being Like, imagine if you had all the water on the earth and no one else had water. Why would you want so much water? What are you going to do with it? You know, people are begging for water and you own all the water. It just doesn't make sense, does it?
No, that's, I mean, that's another thing is a surplus when other people are suffering. That's just, I don't even know what, I don't know what you call that. It's not evil. It's something even worse. It's if there's anything worse, it's like a fundamental mean spiritedness that has,
Isn't it?
like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You're a fucking raw child and you live in a fucking house with no, with servants everywhere. You like one of your servants, one of your guys is better, is cooler than the others, right? So you do have some preferential treatment that you give. So everybody can't be just a cockroach, right? And let's think about it. I mean, you give somebody all the money in the world, you give them the choice. Do you want to have all the money in the world and be alone, or you want to have hardly any money but be around friends and family and fun and jovial experiences? I mean, what the fuck are you going to do by yourself, Howard Hughes? Sit around and eat chocolate with fucking Kleenexes and masturbating furiously to whatever weird movie you're on? That's that guy wrote an article about him years ago in, I don't know, Vanity Fair or something, and I was like, this guy, like, he just he was just ridiculously rich and powerful and just ended up just succumbing to some weird isolation fetish or something where he just liked to eat chocolate and watch movies all day and nobody touched me and I'm like fucking naked.
And a lot of people
that's what happens to people when you just get whatever you want forever. You just get weird.
You get weird, don't you? Even Henry Cavendish, the guy that worked out the gravitational constant, you couldn't talk to him. All of his servants, he would leave a note of what he wanted to eat for dinner that night. He wouldn't communicate with them. He was just a recluse in his mansion doing these experiments. And really, would you be like that? Or would you not share your wealth, as you said, and just be generous and happy? Happy. Could you imagine how, isn't that why we all want to be wealthy, to be happy? But these guys aren't even happy.
Well, I guess at some point with the inference of the upside down world or whatever, you're talking about happiness is anger. Are you still there?
I'm listening. I'm going to walk over to my fridge.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, if you're talking about an upside down world, at that point, isn't happiness is causing sorrow or pain or whatever for other people? You would be, everything is completely the opposite. So you would get off on people just suffering, I would suppose. Our friend Tom says it's not about money, it's about control. The people who run this shit show don't operate with money. Money is for slaves. Yeah, so no, it is about control. But how much do you want to control somebody? I mean, I want my dogs, when we go out, there's like 3 of them. 2 of them cooperate sort of with each other because they're kind of connected to each other on the same lead. And then like Bella just goes fucking bananas. But I'm like, oh, I want to control you. I just want you to go to the bathroom and let's go back inside. That's it.
Tom, I know Tom. I've seen Tom around on Facebook. We're friends, and he's right. It is about control, because even if you look at put it to a marital situation, right? So you got hey, Anthony's on too now, yo, bro, and you got a marital situation. Both husband and wife are equally wealthy, but there's going to be one that wants that control, and the husband might do it, the wife might do it. You know what I mean? If you have an equal, if you don't have that type of control, you're going to have a pretty good relationship in your family. But yeah, people, swindle their partners and they'll do everything to try and then when that partner tries to figure it out, do you know what I mean? Like some woman has worked out their husband's, sneaking around. That husband's going to do anything to gain that control again and that manipulate the mind. And, that's a micro level, and the macro level is what our government are doing to us. Every aspect. When we try and work it out, when you try and work out the puzzle, they'll come out and pull a new card from their Illuminati game card trick, right? This one is the virus card.
Yeah, but I can't get my brain around the concept of someone just wanting to see things fail. Right? I mean, just wanting to see stuff fail. It just sounds, obviously Satan's a gamma, and that's the most gamma of all things. Like, let me just see you fuck up and we'll laugh all the way to the bank. But at some point, don't you just kind of look, you watch this, let's say you have one of those IMAX videos, like cinemas in your fucking house, right?
Yeah.
Every time a movie comes out, they make it in IMAX for you, Billy. Okay. You sit in your IMAX by yourself. You're surrounded by pizza and cookies and beer and whatever the fuck your thing is, you know, and like how much after a while, after fucking 30 movies, you're just like, hey, I want to go outside and do something. Owen says this about the super elite that they can't go outside and enjoy themselves if we're all still here.
That's true.
Like,
hey, that's a really good point,
fine, dude, but who the fuck makes your bed? Who the fuck makes your fucking, you know, your Wheaties? You know, who brings in the fucking almond milk? Like, you have to have a certain amount of people, and then that goes back to, you know, the Georgia Guidestones. They really want to get it down to half a fucking 100 million people, and that be the thing.
No, you would. You're right, but and Owen's right as well, because they are probably jealous of our ability to be able to walk down the street without being, you know, harassed by 50 people.
Stop being a cunt.
Yeah.
Stop being a cunt. Yeah, you can always turn it around.
Where are all the billionaires right now? Where are they? You know, I think I've seen a couple of them step up and say, hey, you know, we're going to donate and put into this global coronavirus fund, which we know is all going to go to a friggin' vaccine. Where's the money going to go?
We don't even know if a Jeff Bezos is a real person. I mean, if you're the richest person in the world, you figured out a way to diversify yourself that the fucking government doesn't take a big wet bite out of your fucking ass every goddamn year for taxes. I'm not worth $100 billion. I'm worth, you know, 100 million, you know, right? And then you put it in a little other shit that, you know, that's why lawyers exist, is to create a language that nobody else knows how to fucking speak. And they navigate it for everyone else so that everyone can get through the little places, you know. That's why the ultra wealthy never go to jail for anything, because they have a legal team that has figured out the minutia to the point where anybody that comes against them is like, yeah, we just don't even want to fucking look at all that paperwork. It's fine. We'll figure something out. Wells Fargo, you stole $2 billion from your customers. Nobody goes to jail. Everyone's, you know, if that guy's name was Tyrone, he would be gone.
Right? Oh, man, for sure. And you know, they're all in that club, aren't they? We know it. We know there's something going on. All these same guys keep getting away with things. George Pell, who's the Archbishop to, you know, the Catholic priest the other day, he got let off when he was, he appealed his jail sentence for child molesting or something like that from the 1970s. We knew he was going to get off. Everyone knew it. But now we can't even protest in Australia.
Everybody knew that Epstein was going to get fucking suicided. Everybody knew Epstein was going to get suicided. Everyone knew it. I was thinking to myself, there's no fucking way, because he's there and everyone's looking at it like that's not going to fucking happen. And they're like, yeah, we're going to do it anyway. Go fuck yourself.
And they still do it, don't they? It's like, we don't care. We
throw my Sharpie down.
Do it. We don't care if you're watching. We don't care how many people know. It's like it makes it more plausible that they do it at that point, because, why would I do that if you were watching? I wouldn't pull that trick on you. Do you know what I mean? They're very classy, and they've got a team behind them. They've got the media to work with them. They've got, you know, they got everyone behind. They've got the doctors. They've got CDC experts.
That's the question also, and then I'm going to plug your book. That's the thing is that people always go into the same time and time response. Well, there'll be too many people that will have to be involved in this and that. And my response always is indubitably, dude, it's called compartmentalization.
Absolutely.
You have an assembly line of people that are working on shit. They don't consult with people at the end of the line, make sure the quality is everything good with you guys, make sure. No, they just fucking do their job. They pass it off, gets passed off to another thing. So why is it that every Tom, Dick, and Harry that wants to refute that any conspiracy ever exists is always like, well, wait a minute, everybody have to be involved? There's a comedian that does this bit where he says, you know, you don't believe in any conspiracies. He's like, not like any conspiracies. He's like, I understand if you don't believe in all conspiracies, but any conspiracies? He's like, I've got a son and I'm in charge to make sure that he grows up to be, you know, a good guy and he's honest and forthright and true. And he's like, and I lie to that motherfucker all the time. I'm paraphrasing, but that's just like the people that don't want to look into any of this are just like, yeah, I don't, I'm just going to watch the news and that's going to tell me what's going on. But I kind of feel like there's a shift now because you can't bullshit somebody who's going to the fucking grocery store day in and day out, kind of getting their things, supplies for the next few days. And then, comes back and is like, this is horseshit. I can read and I can do logical thinking. And even though I usually toe the line of being like, well, why would they do that? And everybody's a good guy. They're starting to go, wait a minute, that doesn't really add up. I like the way that Anomaly does his videos. I don't know how this guy does it, but he's able to kind of stay impartial, but still like go, this is retarded. But, if you like retarded things, you can go and, what I'm saying? It's like really a genius kind of persona that he has. I really like his stuff. Anomaly. All right, so Billy's next book is The Elusive Curve. This is available on Amazon, but I recommend you get it from his website so you can get 25% discount, which is the discount code of ZIG. Is it ZIG? That's
yes,
it?
ZIG, yes.
ZIG. The website is theelusivecurve.com, or is that elusivecurve.com? Either one?
Either or. Just Google.
Yeah. And then now you can get his book, and it talks about the missing curvature or the non-spherical Earth in a family-friendly, conversational. Here's the facts. But let's talk about this. Switch gears. Let's go into what's going on and what's the hoopla about Antarctica. This is for the person that just goes, what do you mean? The seventh continent, the largest continent on the earth that has nothing down there, and we stopped talking about it in first grade? That continent? Yes.
And we thought and we were told it was all ice. And now even a simple Google search will show you there's actually land beneath that ice. So it's not a big block of ice floating at the bottom of the earth, which a lot of people do perceive that. It's land. There are minerals there. And there are people that go there. The Australian, I think he's the Deputy Prime Minister, Josh Frysenberg, his name is. Guess what he did the day he got appointed as Deputy Prime Minister? He went to Antarctica the same day he got appointed, and he came back the same day. So let me put it in perspective. He did roughly about a 10-hour flight or 8 hours to get from Australia, from Melbourne or wherever he took off from, to get to Antarctica. Stayed there a couple of hours and returned back to Australia. Apparently,
that's not weird. That's not weird for a place that has zero going on for it, except happy feet. And
he holds the record for the only person that's done it in one day. So he literally bragged about and then the Pope did it as well. You got all these famous people. Whenever they get elected, they go to Antarctica. Why? Like, hey, take me to the most take me to the worst
inhospitable place.
Right?
Yeah.
The worst place. I don't want somewhere warm and a tropical island,
Let me
with terror.
I gotta stop you there. So this is a stream like a zillion years ago that Owen was doing. I'm talking about the Big Bear again. Sorry, people.
Oh man, Owen's the best, man.
He's all like, why would you go build and terraform Mars? He's like, why? He's like, fucking Antarctica is 1,000,000 times more hospitable than any fucking, planet out in the middle of space that has no fucking air. Like, he's like, there's air right here. We're way ahead of the fucking curve. Why wouldn't you go there? Like Greenland. Go to Greenland and fucking start terraforming that, if for lack of a better whatever.
It's a beautiful point, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why this, flat earth and the whole geocentric, a lot of people don't like the term flat earth, but whatever, it is what it is. And that's how it's a descriptor that the community have sort of used. We know it's, where there are hills and, but people think the water on Earth is flat, and I reckon that it is too. But the whole, sorry, I lost train of thought there.
You're fine.
Yeah, the whole, why would they go out that way, millions and millions of miles, when you haven't even tested it? You can't even grow anything there. But as I said, you can go that way, and it's actually, you can build a dome type structure and protect yourself. And have you noticed that's what they do actually when they do? I think we've lost Damien for a sec, but when they
keep talking,
build the perfect structure, it's always dome shaped because that's the most protective environment you do. I don't know what's above us. Do we have a dome? What do you reckon? What do you reckon about that, Damien? Dome or no dome? I think we've lost him.
No, I'm here. Keep talking. I had to get to another phone with another Apple situation.
Right, okay.
Come here.
Yeah, so the whole, is there a dome? Is there not a dome? Where does the dome extend to? How far does it go? That was my, as I'm writing the book, I was like, well, is there a dome? Is there, we don't know. We know that we need some type of barrier to separate pressure.
Right.
Where is it? There was an ancient guy in Denacrylus, I know, some Greek guy. He said the dome, it wasn't a dome. He said it was a ceiling that went forever. And maybe there is more land out there. And that was pretty much, one of the, the ideas of my book, thinking that there's more land to be found. And I reckon there is. Admiral Richard Byrd said so, and they just shut it down. That's very suspicious to me, that. And right after that, NASA was formed. It was a system that even what we're going through now, and you can see how quick it can happen, right? So in the last 10, a lot of people think, 50 years, wow, you're 50 years old. That's really nothing in concept, like in time. If you think about that was only, if you go back 50 years, what's happened in the last 50, it takes them 10 years to change a paradigm and shift the paradigm, just like we've seen. 10 years ago, we weren't talking about viruses. Most in the flat earth or the truth community thought this was going to be a war that would take over with bullets and military. They've done it with a virus, right? They could, within a 10-year period, you could just program society and just shift them to wherever you want, really.
Well, I thought they were going to turn everything back on, and then I was like, this is going to be like, version 1.0 of like, however many they're going to do of this. And then as we go longer and longer and I see the economy, you're not even seeing the economy. You're just going, it's like riding on a roller coaster and knowing like the scariest part is coming up, but like in a minute, you know what I mean? That's what I look about the economy. And it's just retarded, crazy how decimated it'll be. And they're like, this is just going to be the new us now. Like there's not going to be any change. Like this is going to be the new reality. And I'm like, what does that mean? Everyone that has enough, to keep from sinking lives, and everyone else that doesn't, because you can't, like in the Walking Dead scenario, you want to run around and, break into people's homes and find out what they got going on. Not from a strategic standpoint, that is a fucking suicide mission, because you don't know what's going on in my house and I don't know what's going on in yours. I might be heavily armed. I might have attack killer dogs. I might have trapdoors and shit. No one's going to come in anybody's shit. So, I mean, I guess you could start becoming like bandits or whatever that hang outside of the fucking grocery store. But that's not really realistic either, because at some point, authority and or the land of the law of the land is going to be the people that do come to buy their groceries going to be strapped, and then it's going to be some big showdown, So I really don't know how they're going to then enter in the new world order, and everyone will be given the same outfit, and we'll all walk 6 feet away from each other, and everything will be AI, and they'll know where the fuck you are. And so I saw Minority Report on the Netflix last night, and I was like, I need to watch that again and kind of get some tips on what actually would happen. So you're sort of, I don't know, ahead of the curve. It's not like I'm really going to glean that much from it. It's going to save my life. But
and they've done so many movies about it. There was a movie in, I'm just looking up there, 1997, Gattaca.
Yeah, with Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman.
Yeah, think about what they did in that. And I'm just going to go back and, my brain does sort of remember something.
Oh, and Jude Law. Jude Law is the guy's, the DNA that the guy stole. Yeah.
That was a really freaking cool movie. When you put it in context to now, and, they could anyway. So I was saying back, 1950s and 60s, and it took them like 10, 15 years just to shift people into a space paradigm, you know what I mean? Everyone's like, we're going to space, we're going to the moon. And then they did that, and then we went into, I don't know, maybe the 70s to 80s were kind of cool. We grew up in that. You said you were, 46 years old, so that means you were born about 1973 or 4. Is that right? Or
I don't know.
You yourself, when were you born? About 1974 or?
Oh no, I thought you were asking something. Yeah, 74 and
1970. So, I reckon they were good days. I was talking about that with my wife last night. The 60s, 70s, 80s, good music. Was it because we were blinded and we didn't see what was going on? I'm sure there were conspiracy theorists back then warning us about what was going on. Hey,
just what you didn't have the ability because of technology to. There was no virility. Is it virility?
I just reading.
Virility. I got those two mixed up the other day on my podcast, and I was like, I knew what the fuck I was saying. I just got there's two of them like right next to each other.
I did that last time on your podcast. I said
epiphany.
Epiphany instead of yeah.
Don't worry, I caught it.
Hey man,
I catch it all, man. Hey, so Thomas then? Tom.
I do. Can I sort of touch base on what Tom said, because I like what he said. My thoughts are an electromagnetic dome, repelling the diamagnetic pure waters above, and I like that. And if you look
he's the Goodwill Hunting of my friends.
His friggin' tops, man.
But I asked him to come on the podcast, and he's like, I don't really, and that's fine. Not everybody, it's not everybody's forte to be able to communicate certain ways, but I do appreciate all the stuff, and I appreciate him jumping in on threads where it's like, you can only argue with your friends for so long before you kind of have to like let someone else take over, or you just have to be like, yeah, I can't, I want to preserve the relationship here. I don't want to sit here and each other to death.
And it's good when our friends do come and back us and they're friendly with our friends. I don't want to see someone like I'm having a debate, or not a debate. I post something, a friend comes on who's not switched on to what's going on and says, and then your friends come and attack them. And that's really bad. So we've got to do it. We've got to be just. We've got to be, good and keep a good heart about when you're trying to wake someone up. You're not going to get anywhere going, oh, you fucking dumb sheep, So what Tom was saying there about the firmament and electro, and I'm beginning to think, okay, so this is a crazy thought that I had, because the word meant is mind, right? So right. I know you're going to get to a part of my book, and it was a cool thing, and I think Sam raps this thing, and he's a rapper, so he thinks he is, wannabe rapper, but I shouldn't say that because he's my real friend and he's actually a good rapper. But in the book, he's a rapper. So he says something like, the establishment, the control, control your mind through, so as a mosquito flying around, control your mind through entertainment, entertain the mind, and what about firmament? So it's got ment at the end, a mind. And I'm beginning to think that all our minds are connected. Like we have telepathy. Telepathy, in my opinion, I've proved it to myself. I don't need to prove to anyone else, but I've thought about someone and that has happened. I've thought about things,
I know what you're talking about.
Right?
It's real. We don't have any measurement for.
But we have a conscious connection as well. So they reckon when the radio was invented or discovered, radio waves were discovered, there were 10 people at the same time around the world that had the same idea. There's so many cases where inventions are discovered or made that there were so many people. Alexander Graham Bell, Marconi. The light bulb. There's so many people. So it's like there's this ether. I believe we have an ether, this wave, because everything has to travel through a wave, through a substance, through a form.
Yeah.
If you look back then in the 1900s, ether was a big thing. We've discarded the ether for gravity and for theory, haven't we? As part of that, all these scientists now say, if you say telepathy, they'll go, oh, that's bullshit. Consciousness, well,
we can just say one simple thing. The Egyptians they were playing with a stacked deck. So listen, you and I are always going to get into this problem where we're going to end up getting over our time and still have plenty of stuff to talk about.
Right.
So we're at 55 minutes now. Let's do you have some more time because you're off for the next couple days, and we'll jump on another stream.
I was going to ask you before, how many people can you split screen here?
I think five. I think five. Yeah, but the thing that I caution on that is just is that there is a dynamic, unless you have someone who's clearly kind of leading the round table, it gets a little scattered, which I'm totally fine with doing. But sometimes, and I'm fucking guilty of this, I
was going to suggest
they like to hear themselves speak, you know, which is I like to hear myself speak. It's fucking bullshit, but that's real. So let's just let's chat and figure out what's a good time. And if you want to throw somebody else on there, it would be great. Like last time when I had Roberto on was, you know, amazing. And I had a friend on that was listening to it and kind of coming from a position of going, okay, well, you got something there. So let me just real quick, you can find us on Podbean at whatwouldtesla.podbean.com if you want to listen to the audio version, or you can still get the video version there in case we ever get kicked off here of YouTube. The YouTube station is, quote, What Would Tesla Do on Podbean, end quote. If you don't put that in, you won't find the channel. You can also support us by patreon.com/whatwouldtesla and Vimeo, which is WWTD, What Would Tesla Do, WWTD74 for cocaine and hookers. Did I forget anything else? Get Billy Zigg's book.
You must have more bad habits than cocaine and hookers. Come on.
Well, they may or may not have been problems in the past. All right, mate.
We all do. You know,
I'll send you the link here in a little bit. I got to go eat some salmon, and then let's jump on like tomorrow or the next day, and we'll grab some people.
Let's do it.
Tom, have an open invitation to jump on there. You don't have to lead the way. You can be around and chime in with some cool shit.
Man, I always love chatting with you. I always love chatting. And I was going to say, so you briefly mentioned, and we didn't even go into Tartaria, but you mentioned Tartaria at the start. Just give me a like 15 seconds. Did you dive in? Did you see some of the buildings and all that sort of stuff?
I didn't even dive in yet. I know kind of what there's a thing. So I'm going to look at it tonight. And then I'll jump in. We'll jump in like and talk about it next time. And Thomas just said keep in touch. So I guess we'll try to get him on.
Yeah, I'll send you a few links.
All right, awesome. I'll see you soon, Bill.
Love you, man.
All right.
All the best. See you, brother. Bye.
Namaste.
Namaste. Nasi kala.